You know what? It worked so great letting you guys pick last time. Let's go ahead and do it again. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back to talk a little future series here. Now, guys, if you don't know, I will be finishing the Realm of the Elderlings in October. We're doing one per month, me and Philip Chase, as we roll through the Realm of the Elderlings and continue to do our Panel of the Elderlings discussions. And I did a video recently where I said I'm going to be finishing The Expanse this year, and I'm looking for my next great sci-fi series after I finish that, because I don't want to start too many long series while I'm in the middle of a long series. And I think Realm of the Elderlings, you would definitely call it a long series, but I will be finishing this year. And I said, I think I should do the same thing with fantasy. And I think what I'm going to do here, guys, just like with that video, I'm going to present 5 options here. And based off of the feedback that I get from you guys in the comments, you're going to help me choose which series here of these 5 that I pick up first. Now, I'll go ahead and tell you up front, I'm interested in all 5 of these series. I want to read all 5 of them. But you guys get to tell me which one you would like to hear me talk about and read first. So let's go ahead and kick it off, guys. Like I said, I'll be finishing this in October. So if you're curious about that schedule or if you want to jump in, as always, you can do that. First up, I don't have it on physical. I only have it on Kindle at the moment, but I got to go with the Alex Vera series by Benedict Jack. Now, this is a 12-book series. It is complete, so there is that. That is very enticing. But what this, the synopsis says, a mage with a dark past who runs a magic shop in the Camden Town district of northwest London. That sounds an awful lot like a wizard for hire running his place out of Chicago, don't it? And that's a big reason why I wanted to get to this series. When I talked to Jim Butcher, the author of the Dresden Files, in case you don't know that connection there, he actually recommended this series to me. So that was obviously what put it on my radar. But a lot of people have been saying, yeah, I think if you don't go into it expecting Dresden Files, but if you need that hold me over until we get new Dresden Files stuff, I think that Alex Vera should be very, very good for you. And so I did pick up the entire series a while back, and I am very, very interested in starting. It's one of my, I'm reading Drizzt right now, and I said when I get through Drizzt, I think 13, I'm on number 7. And that's where I think I'm going to take my first break with that series, because you guys know Legend of Drizzt is just, it's huge. It's huge. I wasn't going to read through all 40 plus of those books, back to back. So I said, I think I'll take my first break there, and then I can fit in another one of these palate cleanser series, and one of them was going to be Alex Vera. So if you guys would rather see me start that sooner rather than later, that will be the one that you would go ahead and pick. So if you know anything more about it, please drop in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. Obviously, no spoilers, please, because I haven't read any of these. But yeah, I know these descriptions will be very brief, guys, because I don't want to spoil myself. So I'm just kind of going with, I just would Google, what is this series about? And that's what it would kind of give me as a little one-liner, an elevator pitch, if you will. Next one up. Now, this one is one of those I would classify under been on my TBR for way too long. Every year I'll do my series I want to read next year, and then I'll do my series I'm going to read in permanent ink. That's where I narrow it down to the ones that I'm starting. Without a doubt, no question, it's going to happen. And one that's kind of got pushed for the last 2 years is the War for the Rose Throne series by Peter Macklin, Macklin. I've heard so many different ways of saying it. I say Macklin because when I talked to John Gwynn, and he first recommended this to me, he said Macklin, so I'm going to go with John. John is pretty much a linguist, so I'm going to just believe him when he tells me how to pronounce something. So I go with Peter Macklin. Anyhow, this series I've heard is very much like the gangster version of a grimdark fantasy story. When I did that little Google trick, it kept giving me like this long description. I was like, I'm not going to use that. I think the comparison that everybody tells me is it's a lot like if Peaky Blinders, that show on Netflix, which I haven't watched, is very much like if it took place in a fantasy world. That's kind of what they compare it to. So first, I know you're going to tell me watch Peaky Blinders. I know. I love Cillian Murphy. I should be watching Peaky Blinders, but with this, I think about I loved Jade City, because I felt like it was very much a Godfather in like a fantasy version of Japan or something like that. And this, I think, is a little more grimdark, I think, than obviously what Fonda Lee wrote there. So I think that this sounds like it would be something exactly what I'm looking for. A lot of my grimdark buddies, as I like to call them, are really, really high on this series. They really, really do enjoy it. So I think one of the biggest selling points to me when I first got interested in it was people I know that said they liked dark stuff, and they were quitting reading in the first third because it was too messed up for them. I said, that sounds great to me. So that's when I first started picking up the series. But it's one of those, like I said, I just kind of keep kicking it down the road. And if you guys vote for it, it would give me an excuse to stop doing that. So if that's your pick, please let me know. Another one I don't have on physical, and the reason I don't have this one on physical, guys, is because the most recent book in the series just came out, and it's just so massive, I don't even know if it's going to get a physical printing. I'm talking about the Bound and the Broken series by Ryan Cahill. Now, this is one that is planned to be a 5-book series. 3 of them are out. There's 2 novellas as well, and judging by the video that Patrick put up this week, he did a little why you should read, basically, about this series. And he said with the novellas in this series, it isn't just like supplemental material. This is stuff that you need to know. It really will round out a lot of the questions that you have. So he's saying that the novellas definitely aren't something that you should skip. So I'm saying there's 5 releases out right now. And here's the thing. The reason I would count this as a long series is, guys, because book number 3 is longer than A Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. So that's a beast of a book right there. I think on my Kindle version is 1,500 pages of just book number 3. So this is one that I think that everybody kind of tells me is similar to John Gwynne in that way that's like a love letter to the fantasy genre. A lot of people said, look, it's not going to be anything you haven't heard before. But if you're into all those things, like dragon riders and heroic fantasy and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I am. I love tropes, guys. That's why I love this genre in the first place. What I don't like is when people have those tropes and they try to act like they're doing something different. You're just embracing that. Like I said, a love letter to why we love this genre in the first place. I'm all aboard for it. But I think this series has just gotten recommended to me so much. Of all the self-pub, I think Rob J. Hayes and Ryan Cahill have been recommended to me the most, as people are saying that that's what they think that I would like. So lots of people that know how much I like John Gwynne have recommended David Gimmel and, of course, Ryan Cahill here. So this would be the one I think. He seems to be like a self-pub breakout star. He really is, because everyone recommends this series to me, and I can't stop hearing about it. And that's why I want to put it on here. So I've got the first 3. I don't have the novellas, but I've got the first 3 books on Kindle at the moment. And they're pretty cheap, guys. I got all 3 of them for under $10. So if you're looking to get those on digital, I say go for it. So I'd love to hear if you guys want me to do that one in November. Next up, I just mentioned David Gimmel, so I got to talk about the Drenai Saga. Now this, guys, this is an 11-book series. I have Legend. That's it, because a viewer did send it to me. And I gotta say, this is probably the book that I get recommended the most. When it was like, what's a book that people recommended to you all the time that you haven't read yet? This one. Again, when I said I like John Gwynne, all of my comments became, "You've got to read David Gimmel." That's the influence right there. And sure, I mean, the fact that he named awards after this guy for fantasy books, obviously he knew what he was doing. This is I think 11-book series. Now this is a heroic fantasy, very much a traditional good versus evil. People have told me it's kind of standalone-ish, in that you will see some characters pop back up, but each book is kind of like a new cast, kind of doing the questing thing. There's siege tales, there's adventures, there's quests, there's all kinds of coming of age stuff. They say that this is stuff that just fun action fantasy that any traditional fantasy lover is going to be crazy about. So I've always wanted to read David Gimmel, even before I read John Gwynne. I had heard of him before, because I tell the story all the time. I almost dropped it. I tell the story all the time about how, like, my brother's bedroom when we were younger, his fantasy club, that was like my gateway to fantasy. I was reading anything I could get my hands on, and he had David Gimmel, but he had like book 4 or 5 in this series. And even at that age, I was like, no, I got to read them in order. And he told me back then, you don't got to. You can just pick up one and read it. And I was like, no, I must do it this way. So I was always like that, guys. I was always been like a, let's read everything in order type. So that's just the way that I am. But with that one, again, that would be one like Adrist, where I would kind of just fill that out between, since they are standalone-ish. And tell me if I'm wrong on that, if they're not. I've just been told you can pick up one, move on to something else. You don't have to look at it and be like, oh God, not another 11-book series. You can kind of pick up one of those anytime you want and kind of just push through it. So that would be probably would be the one with the most books on the series. No, actually no, because Alex Veras has 12. I'm wrong. I was gonna say it was the longest one on this list, but the next one is the longest on this list. Now, this one's going to seem kind of like a cheat, because you wouldn't really call it fantasy as much as you'd call it historical fiction. But I'm going to count it anyways, because I don't know where else to put it, because I want to find an excuse to read The Last Kingdom Saxon Stories by Bernard Cornwell. Guys, now I loved the Warlord Chronicles. I thought Warlord Chronicles was amazing. In fact, I think it might have ruined all other historical fiction for me, because I've tried to read other historical fiction after that and it didn't really click for me. So I said, well, hey, go back to the well. Just go back to Bernard Cornwell. Bernard Cornwell is what I keep getting told I'm supposed to say. Anyhow, I'm still learning, guys. I'm an American. We say Bernard here. Sorry, that's just how it works. But with this, I love the television show. So I know that I'll probably end up loving this book. But here's the thing about it is a lot of people told me it's really good to break this up because it does tend to get a little formulaic. And if you try to read straight through it, you'll kind of burn yourself out. So I don't know if that's true or not. But as far as what's about birth of England, 9th to 10th century. And then you got Uhtred. He's born as a Saxon, raised as a Dane. And it's kind of his role as they're trying to establish England as a unified country, So I think that that's obviously right in my alley. I mean, I love Norse Viking saga stuff. I'm all about that. And again, I think that's one of the best shows that was on TV. If you guys haven't watched The Last Kingdom, watch it now. It's complete. There's a movie coming out in April that's going to kind of tie up some loose ends, but the series as it is over. It's complete. You can watch the whole thing on Netflix. It's great. It really is really great. But with that series, again, I think, like I said, I just want to get back to some Bernard Cornwell because I think that he's just going to be my jam. I say that I'll do Grail Quest before that, but if this is the one that you guys pick, I'll probably end up moving this ahead of Grail Quest because I don't have Grail Quest on my schedule right now. But yeah, Bernard Cornwell, apparently he's the best in the business at historical fiction. And when you start with the master, it's kind of hard to go backwards. So that's my 5 there. Do I have anything else to talk about? I do. When I put this list together, it was actually 10. And I said, you're going to be really redundant because I know eventually I will do my, hey, these are some series that I would like to read in 2024. And I don't want to just kind of regurgitate all those. These will probably be on there if I don't, whatever ones don't win will probably be on that 2024 list. But I do have obviously lots more. But I thought that this was a good way to help decide which one of these that I would read next based off of, what you guys are interested in hearing me talk about on the channel. Because, I mean, I did the one for the sci-fi, and Adrian Tchaikovsky won on that one with Children of Time. So I'll be starting Children of Time after I finish The Expanse this fall. And whichever one of these wins, I'll be starting probably around the same time. But outside of this, there's lots of others that I'm really interested in. But I think that these will be the 5 that I think I should really prioritize. Because either I've been kicking them down the road, or I think that they would be really great palate cleansers between major epic fantasy books. In the case of Saxon Stories, the case of Journai, the case of Alex Verus, I could probably pick one of those up and do it really quickly in between really heavy reads, whereas the other 2 are going to probably be a little heavier. I don't know. The War for the Rose Throne, it seems like people do kind of fly through that series really quick now that I believe it is complete. It's 4 books. I think that was the last one. Not really sure. And apparently the TV rights have been sold to that one. I mean, a lot of things with these, the TV rights get snapped up really quick. So you never know if they're actually going to come to fruition or not. But that was obviously something that I would like to read before any potential adaptation comes. But guys, any feedback on these? Or is there anything you wish I had had on here? Now look, I want you to give me recommendations always. But I want you to understand these are the 5. So if you want to do a write-in, cool, I'll get it on my TBR. But I want you to please give me feedback on one of these 5. If you've only read one of them, please tell me what you liked about it. Tell me if you thought it was good. Tell me if you think that I'll like it. If you've read all 5, you want to name 3 of them, go ahead. Go ahead. People did that in the sci-fi one. They named 2 or 3, and I counted them. I counted each one of those as a vote. So this isn't a scientific poll, guys. I'm just really going off of feedback. So if you don't drop in the comments and let me know what it is that you want me to check out, obviously I don't know about it. But again, if you want to recommend something that I don't have here, I probably already have it on my list. But if not, let me know, because I'm always looking to explore new series. Because I think there is going to be a point, guys, where I knock out all of these heavy hitters that have been laying around for years, and I'm going to be looking for some new recommends. So guys, what do you think about these 5? Drop in the comments and let me know. Do you want to read any of these with me? I think that is something that should matter as well. So let me know down below, guys, and I will talk to you there.